Hey y'all, I had a pretty big moment recently that I'm going to share, and it's that my hip impingement and my back pain is going away, and it feels like it's going away for good. And this video is me, I'm going to go through my process of this healing process that I've undertaken, and it's going to be as long as it needs to be. And it's just going to be me talking here and just getting into like the heartfelt, humble truth of what that process has been like for me. And this is not what I recommend for other people. This is me just sharing an experience, sharing a story. And if it resonates, then great. And if it doesn't, then great. So, where to begin? I think I'll start with saying the other day, so I've had a hip impingement for as long as, I don't want to say as long as I can remember. I noticed it when I was 20, maybe. When I started to be like, oh, my body's super stuck and stiff and this sucks. I was experiencing pain in my body. And just putting all this together that, yeah, this stuckness hurts and it sucks. And basically, I couldn't squat very well or at all. I could probably only squat like, if I pushed it, probably to parallel. But, I didn't have that range of motion. It's pretty stuck. And the other day, I squatted down after a QiGong Taichi session, and I squatted all the way down, and there was nothing in the way. Nothing stopping me. There was no pain. And honestly, it blew my mind. Like, it just lit me up. I almost cried. Yeah, it was just a special moment in my life because this is something that I've been battling with for a while. And when you battle with something like this, like, no one quite understands like what it's like to not be free in your body, to not be able to move how you want. But also, I mean, it's the simple things, like maybe you're in pain all day long, or maybe just every movement, everything in your life is uncomfortable. So yeah, it sucks. And to get into this, how I got there, I just gotta start at the beginning. And the beginning was that I had back pain. So when I was playing college basketball, 18, 19 years old, I kind of threw out my back, my lower back. And this was really scary because, like, the next day I couldn't really walk. Yeah, and it was like I don't remember quite well. It was like 3 days to a week of like barely being able to walk, barely being able to move. And I like went to my classes and I did all my homework. Like I remember like I did my homework laying down on my stomach, looking at my computer. Like, oh, it was miserable. And where I got help, like I didn't get much help, and that kind of shocked me. Actually, I was like, man, I'm struggling a lot, and there's like not a lot out there that can help me, and that's really tough. It's tough to feel that way. And so I struggled with this back pain for, I mean, honestly, until now. But for a while, until I was like, and it got better. Like, it improved, and I played basketball, but it was always there. Like, it's just something that was present in my life now, as some of you probably can relate to. And so I just set on this path. After college basketball, I was like, I gotta figure this out. Like, I don't want to be in pain anymore. And so I started playing with like physical therapy techniques, corrective exercise, and stretching. And this was all pretty helpful. And this is where basically, like, going through some of the stuff was where I was like, wait, I can't move. And it sounds silly to say, but like when I played sports, it was okay that I was stiff, that I was a little bit stuck. Like you were just kind of running around, right? Um, I noticed it, but it wasn't like, it didn't stop me from playing, you know? And so, yeah, it was at this point when I was like, okay, I should be able to squat, and I can't squat. Can't squat at all. I can't open my hips at all. Like, it was disastrous. And I became aware to it, and almost like becoming aware to it made it more annoying. It made it more hurtful because I'm like, oh my God, I'm so frozen, right? And this hip impingement thing started to annoy the heck out of me because I'm like, dang, I'm trying to squat and I just keep running into what feels like a bone on bone experience, like this impingement, like lifting your leg or going in a squat. You just feel like, oh, there's like a bone that's stopping me. And that, ugh, it sucks. And I've dealt with that, you know, ever since then. And so I got into stretching, corrective exercise, and it actually was really helpful. I know that if you watch my videos, sometimes I say like, "Oh, stretching is not going to work." Um, you know, there's a lot of nuance to that, and stretching helped me a lot, and I still teach it. I love it. I love it in my body. It feels great. Um, but the reason that I say stuff like that is because it only got me so far. Like it unwound my body a bit, like to feel more comfortable every day. But it didn't solve. It wasn't solving the problem. I knew it. Like I knew it. I was like, this is good. It's helping, but it's not solving anything. And you know, I did it for a long time. All this stuff, all this physical stuff. And when I say this type of stuff, like I tried everything. Like you name it, I probably tried it. And so I'm sort of going on this journey of like trying all these things and doing this stuff in my body. But there's sort of the same journey going along at the same time, which is somewhat of an opening process, art of opening. um, and that process is like, I was a really anxious person growing up. Like I was afraid of everything, and yeah, I was like afraid to have conversations in my life. Like I was a very quiet person and very like closed in, and then that, you know, it was leading to depression. Like I caught this all pretty early with myself, just to say, like, I felt these depressive symptoms right out of college, like 22 years old, you know, I'm just like, I don't, like, I hesitate to use that word depression because I know how bad it can get. Just to say, like, where I was at was like, I would just sleep on the couch all day and I couldn't get up, right? I would get up for the things I had to do in my life, but otherwise it's like I come home, eat food, and like pass out, you know, watch TV and like not be able to move. So that's like, I sort of saw a path for myself. It was like, I could keep going this direction, and this direction is a really sad direction for me in my life. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do in my life. It was just constantly blocked, constantly stopped. So I started looking for something, you know, like I think we all know the feeling of just like looking for something, like something to help, something to remedy. So this part of the story I'm about to get into, I felt a lot of hesitance talking about this in the past. I have made videos where I've talked about it, never in depth. And it's like a triggering topic for people. I think it's just, you know, I think it's challenging. I think it's scary, and I see why. And it's, yeah, okay. So I tried psychedelics, tried I ate some mushrooms, ate some LSD, and I tried some MDMA. And at this time, it was like starting to come into more awareness, like 8 years ago, maybe. Like right now, it's like this is a really hot topic. But back then, it was kind of like hitting the scene. Like people were like, "Oh, like MDMA can help, veterans heal," and same with mushrooms. And so I was like listening to people talk about this stuff, and I was like, not with it. Like, I, when I was younger, like I liked to drink alcohol, but other than that, I didn't really want to like touch any like drugs. I watched some friends when I was young get. I watched their path. Like I saw where it led, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to go down that path. Um, but I was a partier. I liked to party when I was young. Like I had some demons, Um, and so yeah, like this stuff started to come into my awareness, and I was just listening to all these stories of people doing like really deep healing, healing depression, even healing stuff in their bodies. It's just the levels at which this stuff can work on people is incredible. So I was tuning into these stories, and something was clicking. Like I was like, "Wait, maybe this is what I need to do. Like I'm looking for that remedy." And yeah, so I tried, and I was frightened. I was Part of me really wanted to do it, part of me really didn't want to do it. And I had a really nice first experience with them. Um, and that sort of opened some doors for me. It showed me all the ways that I was causing myself depression and anxiety, all the ways that I was keeping myself stuck. And this is really the magic and power that these things have to offer. Now, again, like I said this at the beginning of the video, but this is not a recommendation video. This is just me telling a story. This is my story. So this isn't me saying do this. Um, but I sort of like I got curious. I was like, it helped me so much. It sort of was like, oh, this is sort of the like a remedy kind of thing. And so I started to like play with it a little more. And I'm not at first like it wasn't a lot. Like it was a few times a year, you know. But every time I would do it, I'd be like, okay, like it's helping me more, right? And so this naturally, like over a long period of time, opened up into like realizing that there was more healing to be had. There's more unlocking to do inside of me, and that these mushrooms and these psychedelics were really helpful for me. I call them medicines now because, well, this video. So, um, so I like went on this path, and like I started to actually went down to Peru, and I tried some of the bigger ones like ayahuasca and wachuma, and had some very beautiful experiences, similar, just very opening and very like, it started to show me like the color of life again, like how beautiful life is and can be. But it showed me most importantly, I would say, it showed me all of the ways that I was making life not enjoyable, that I was creating all these barriers, all these closings, all this negativity inside of me. And that I was going to have to go through a process of undoing that. And that stimulated a journey for me of like, okay, like I'm down for that work. let's do it. Let's engage in that work. And that's also outside of it. Like this isn't just like taking mushrooms and we're good. Like, no, it opens up something for you. It shows you how to do internal work. And that internal work of releasing and opening yourself is really the magic. Right? So, okay. So that's that introduction. And like I said, this was happening all alongside like me trying to open my body, doing all the stretching, corrective exercise. And so it's very hard to distinguish between the two. And I was making that connection. I was like, wait, it seems like when I do this work with, say, like mushrooms or something, my body opens a lot more. I'm starting to put this together. And it is actually kind of baffling. Like, I'd come away from these experiences and just be like, wait, like my body feels way better than after like I do any stretching or anything like that, right? It feels way better. I just feel like free. I feel more open. You have enough of these experiences, and I started to question like why? Like, what is happening here? Because what I was experiencing was not just like, oh, I do some drugs, and then like, there's this like all this like chemical stuff happening that's allowing me to open my body more, and then it goes away. That's not what's happening. I was going through this process, and then afterward, yeah, I feel like incredible, like better than I've ever felt. But for the most part, it stays. Yeah, it goes back. It'll like go back, but like it's like you've unlocked this new level of openness, and that's in you now. Like you have that now, right? So I was putting this together, like something's happening here. Right? Something is opening my body a lot. And after enough of this, I came across, there's this teacher who I really has helped me a lot over the years. His name's Kit Laughlin, and I've never met him. He's just on YouTube. And yeah, I was like really into his stretching content. It was super helpful for me. And I listened to all of his podcasts, like probably twice through, like all of them. And Kit would talk about the connection between the body and the mind and the emotions. And, like he was drawing that link for me a lot of like when you release in you, not like you release, right? Your mental space, your emotional space, then the body opens. And he would talk about tension release. And when I first heard him talking about releasing tension and how big of a problem tension is, I didn't give it the time of day at all. Like, not at all. I actually just like glossed over all of it. Like, I was like, just give me the stretching content, And then eventually I went back through all of his podcasts again. And it started to hit. Maybe it was like a couple years later, and I had done more of this opening stuff. And it started to hit, and he would talk about tension and just like, you have to release tension. Like, it's different from stretching. Stretching is one side. Releasing tension is a whole different thing. They combine for sure, but they're also different things. And he would do these meditations that you could follow, and I did. So I eventually tried them. I something clicked inside of me, and I was like, wait, I think this tension stuff is sort of what's happening with me in these experiences. So I started to try this, and I was convinced enough. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try this for a month. And because I was still questioning it. I was convinced enough, but I was still questioning it. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it for a month. Let's see what happens. And I try his meditations, and I'm pretty sure that like the first one or two, I was like, yeah, like, okay. Like, don't really feel much, But then, you get like a week in or like 2 weeks in, and I'm doing this. I'm trying to do it every day. I probably miss some days in there, but mostly every day. And I get a week or two in, and I'm like, oh, something is happening. And basically I'm coming away from these meditations and these sessions, and I feel a lot more ease in my body. And this is what he would talk about. Talk about being like a cat, the ease of a cat. When the cat's chilling. You could pick them up and they'll just fall around you. Yeah. So I start to feel like, oh, there's more ease in my body. This feels good. And once this connection comes, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep doing it. I keep doing it. And, boom. I'm like, okay, this is huge. This is important. And the interesting thing is it wasn't like unlocking my hips more necessarily. In the moment, like it wasn't like I would come out of these meditations and I'm like, oh, my hips are splaying open. Like, no. Like the range of motion's the same, but there's less tension in my body. Fast forward a little bit, and I want to say right now as well, I've been dealing with back pain this whole time. Like back pain's never left. Comes, goes, but never left. So fast forward a little bit, and what I'm starting to bring this release work into my stretching practice. And I think once I did enough release work in my body, I released enough tension, then stretching was more accessible. Because when I would stretch before, it was just painful. It just hurt. A lot of it didn't even feel like a stretch. Like I didn't feel a stretch into my adductors until like 4 or 5 years into doing all this stuff. It's just wild. Yeah, I didn't feel a stretch. Like it would just hurt on the outsides. It'd be pinchy. If you had hip impingement, you know what I'm talking about. And so, yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel a stretch now. Like something's unlocked enough to where it can feel a stretch. And I can bring these relaxation practices into my stretching. So I'm, say, like in a frog, and I'm like getting into a frog, and I'm like breathing and release, breathe and release, and I'm realizing that like I can release the tension in these muscles as I stretch, and that is opening me up a lot. And it's like the muscles are going from here to here, and then okay, we can open, right? Whereas before it was like stretch, very different, like very, very different styles of stretching. This one doesn't work very well. So yeah, I start to integrate. I'm starting to put things together. I'm starting to integrate. And yeah, so this realization is huge. The tension. I'm like, okay, tension matters. This is important. And okay, so I'm continuing with both of these styles of work, my body work, and you could say like my spiritual work, for lack of a better word. And having more opening experiences in the medicine work that I was doing. Eventually putting together like, okay, this tension that I have in my body is muscular, but it's not coming from the muscles. It's coming from something deeper inside. Why do I need to tense? I started to ask that question. Why do I need to tense? Why do I feel this way? Well, I started to put together because my nervous system is freaked the heck out. My nervous system is jacked up. And I started to feel this in many ways. I'm like, oh, I'm always tensing. I'm all like everywhere. It's like I'm always grabbing. It's like, well, where does that come from? Fear, protection. And it's like, I have to protect myself, right? Where does that come from? The nervous system, but it's like how your nervous system is programmed, how my nervous system is programmed. And it was programmed, if you think about like programming something, it's like I had like the fear foundation, the fear and scared and protection foundation. And then everything is built on top of that, right? Okay, if the ground layer is that this world is not safe, is not okay, and I can't, I cannot be myself in this world, then I need to protect myself. And I put this together with like, the spiritual work was like showing me this. It's like, hey man, what are you protecting yourself from? Like, you're so bound up. What are you afraid of? and and so you start to see how the two worlds collide, right? Like, oh, I'm so bound up. I gotta protect. I gotta do all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, my muscles are everything is It's like, yeah, it starts to make sense over time. Like, everything starts to come together. So this is the process that I went through, and I just want to say that all of this was happening. It was all happening. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't know that this was the process. I was just like on a journey. I was like, I want to feel well. Like, I want to heal my body, you know? And so I was just following like what felt good. And that's huge, like following the intuition. I still do that because it's taught me so much. So yeah, what I'm saying is that I started to put all this together in the aftermath. After like, I don't know how long, like 5, 6, 7 years of doing all this stuff, like then it was starting to get put together because I could make all those connections between things, right? Also, I should say that, getting however many years into all this stuff, and like my anxiety is dripping away, my depression is dripping away, like all this stuff that I had that was like really hard in my life just started to like fall away. And look, I want to say that this was a crazy hard process. Releasing is God, like healing is so hard. Like, it'll challenge you to your core, your absolute core. Because like, think about why we have all of these things. It's because we're afraid. Honestly, like that's what it comes down to. Like, we're afraid to be ourselves, to be authentic. We're afraid of other people, that they're going to hurt us, or we're afraid of the world, that this world is not safe, that this world is not comfortable for us. But if you draw it all back, it all comes back to we're afraid of something. And as I was working with those layers of fear within myself and letting them go, like, that's like, yeah, the anxiety drips away. Because what is there to be afraid of? The depression drips away because there's less in the way. And you're like, oh, I can just connect to the world. And the world is cool and amazing. There's a sunset that's about to happen. Like, wow, right? Things start to blow your mind. And there's a lot of magic around because you've got yourself out of the way. So that is like a bulk of the story up until maybe like 2.5 years ago for me. And since we're talking about hip impingement, back pain, it got better. Like it got better. Like I was like deeper in my squat, and like my back pain was like, it's definitely getting better, but it was still there. Like, it was that same thing I was saying at the beginning where it was like, I'm getting better, but I don't feel like I'm solving anything. And that was the point, like 2.5 years ago, I started to get a little fed up, actually, like, because I was stretching, and I was stretching hard. And like, I was doing all this mobility stuff, like, so consistently, training hard, like 4 to 6 days a week, hours at a time. And I hit a wall. I was like, this is not taking me anywhere. Like, maybe it took me somewhere for a little bit, but at this point, like, it's not really working. And that fed upness like comes from somewhere inside, like intuition, right? Intuition of, you know when something's like sort of working and something's like, not totally working. There's something inside of us that knows this. And so now I get to a part of the story where things really accelerated, sort of fast. And I met this person who was telling me like, hey, I've been doing this QiGong and Taichi for a long time. I think they said like 7 years or something. And they were like, yeah, it's been way better for me than anything else I've ever done. And she's done all the stuff I've done, all the medicine work, this type of stuff. And they're like, yeah, I don't like. I took that amount of time off of all that stuff because this Qigong was helping me more than anything. And I was like, tell me more. And I just sat and listened to this person talk for like an hour about what they do and what it's all about and the experiences that they've had. And it lined up with my experiences of like all this release and even like the methods that they use, like the techniques. I was learning them on my own, like through my own journeys. And so when I was hearing all this, I was like, no way, like no way, this is nuts. Like I've been learning this on my own. And I started to put together in my head like, okay, I've been learning this on my own, but I'm not like, I have no teacher. I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to do any of this. And there's this whole system of things that does know how to do it. So I went down the rabbit hole of like, I like went on their YouTube and watched a bunch of YouTube for all this stuff. And I was sold. I did the same thing as I did with the Kit Laughlin stuff, where I was like, let's do it. Like let's go in. If it doesn't work, but I'm going to give it like months. Give it months, see what happens. And yeah, I start to engage with this. There's a school here. It's called Energy Arts. Very lucky they're here. It's incredible work. Thank you, Energy Arts. Started to go to this school, and the the first thing they teach you in this method is standing. And I had no clue. Like going into this, I had no clue like what they were gonna teach me, how we were gonna do it. I was so blind. I just knew I knew the underlying principles of what they were working with, that it's all about release. So yeah, I go in, teach standing, and I realized that I couldn't stand. I tried to stand for like 3 minutes, and I had to take a break, walk around, and I was putting together like, wait, I should be able to stand. I should be able to stand still for a long period of time if I wanted to. But there's stuff inside of me that's like, get me out of here. So very quickly this practice started to resonate, because they're teaching posture and alignment and like how do we stand in a way where we're stacked, where everything is fit on top. And so then if we're stacked, then we can let go, right? Our body, our structure can hold us up. And so the standing resonated a lot. I started to get a lot of release in my body in ways that I previously didn't know were possible, quite honestly. Yeah, like in retrospect, looking through the journey, I'm like, I had no clue that this level of release was possible. The way that my body feels right now, I had no clue that one could feel like this. It's insane. It's insane. So this method that I'm learning, which again, very like humbly, this is a lineage. Like this is like what I understand about this is nothing. It's like, like when I go to these classes, I'm just like, okay, I am nothing, I am no one. I do not know anything. That's how I feel almost every time I walk away. This is a lineage. It comes from China, right? It comes from the very, very roots of Tai Chi and QiGong and Daoism, right? Like the roots, that's where it comes from. It's an oral tradition. Which, by the way, if that like, turns you off in any way, like, there's no like religion. It's like you just try the technique, like you just try the stuff in your body, and it's just like, okay, that's all it is. You could take it deeper or whatever, but this is just a movement practice, and it's probably one of the best. So techniques they use is all about release and letting go. They teach you on a very deep level how to let go. And like I said with the standing, it's like, okay, if you come in proper alignment, things will let go more. They also teach you methods of like, how do we release? What do we do? Right? And that's extremely helpful, like going inside, opening from the inside, releasing muscular tension. How do we do that? Right? How do I let go here? How do I let go here? And and then I started getting into, like, at first it's just like all this foundational stuff. It's standing, it's like making circles. It's the simplest stuff. Not easy, but simple. And then I learned a Tai Chi form, and I've been working with this Tai Chi form for like 10 months now, 8-10 months. And so I really started to find some stuff unlocking inside of me with this. And it's hard to explain this stuff, but the thing is that all this stuff that you see, whatever it is, right? It's just like learning posture, and like it's learning how to move, right? It's learning how to move through no tension and just release, being very connected to the ground, and then opening your body, like all this, like, okay, open everything, right? So, get to the good stuff now. So I'm learning this stuff, and I'm getting a lot of release. I'm starting to feel my connection to the ground, starting to feel my back pain, like the root causes of my back pain, which is insane. Like that as well is like, I wouldn't say it's gone, but I'm starting to see how it can be gone, like all through all this release. And I'm starting to learn how to open in the hip region. And also, I'm starting to learn how connected the ribs are to all of it, and the pelvis, and like all this stuff inside of you can be like twisted, right? It's like you don't see the twist necessarily, but it's all just twisted and contorted. And like this practice, you learn how to like how to open everything and release and let go. And with the Tai Chi form, I'm learning, like, this started to open me up a ton. And as I'm learning more of how to open my inside, open my hips, right? Create space in the hips. This was it. So I'm starting to notice, like, okay, my squat's getting better. Squat's opening up. So, once a week or so after practice, I go down and sit in a squat. And you're like, okay, yeah, it's getting better. And then this was just last week. I do like an hour of practice, and then I go to the gym and I like do some stretching and maybe climb. And I'm like, okay, I get to the gym, and I'm like, first thing I want to do is just try my squat. So I squat down, and there's nothing there. Like, that pinch is gone. And I was like, what? No way. Like, I don't know a reality where that's not there. There's no my mind can't process it. Like, it's just like, no, there's something there. And I'm squatting there, and I'm like, no, wait, there's nothing there. And yeah, getting some emotions right now. So, yeah, I mean, holy shit. Like, holy crap. I don't even know like how to express what that feels like. Like if you're someone who's dealt with chronic pain, like you know how this is a part of your existence in life. It's a part of life. It is you. And to feel that go away is there's no words to describe it, really. It's just I kind of feel like you're getting your life back, you know. And yeah, and now I'm learning how to like be in the world without back pain. And if I do feel some pain, I know how to release it. I'm just okay, release, 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 right? I feel way better in minutes. And yeah, it's just insane. It I wish I had better words. But then, this is just life now. It's like, okay, well, I want more release in my body, I want more healing in my body. And it's the path. And, so the way that I understand what's happening here, this is sort of a sum up, but I have more to say that's some good, is, so, the term like your cup is full. And we take that term to mean like, yeah, I'm really stressed and like I have a lot on my plate, right? But so I work with people one on one and I've done this for a long time and because I've been there myself, like what your cup is full means a lot more than that. It it's literally like you have so much tension and so much, I'm gonna just say shit inside of your body that it's begging to come out. Like that's like I work with people all the time and I teach them standing and they go they'll like walk out of it and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that you have so much stuff inside of you that it's just your cup is too full. And this is huge. Like this is stuff that's built up in your nervous system. Who knows like what it is. I've I've seen a lot in the healing realm. Like I've seen so much to be like, wow, like this is a very deep level of things. And this is an important concept because it's like this is what we're releasing. Like we're not just releasing the muscles. Like we're releasing on a very, very deep level when we do this type of stuff. And I bring this up because this is no journey for the light-hearted, the faint of heart. This is a real journey that one has to take. Remember, like we hold on to this stuff because we don't want to let go of it. And this is why when people start doing this work, they have a lot of resistance. A lot. Because all this stuff is like, that's you. You think that's you. Okay? So if you have a cup, oh, good thing. This bottle is full. Okay. A cup that's full. All this stuff on the inside, that's not you. You are the cup. You are the cup. But all this stuff, this is not you. That stuff that you've built up over time is piled up inside of you. That's tension, but it's much deeper than tension. I mean, tension is just a good word for it, for what it is. But like we gotta go through the process of like, okay, we gotta get some of that stuff out of there. If you empty the cup that much, you're gonna feel better. Now, if you get all the way down, whoo, life's gonna be pretty good. But this is what's happening. And I say it's not for the faint of heart because, oh my God, like the levels you have to go inside of yourself to release in these ways, like, it's scary. But, you know, like, the reason that this channel exists, like, the reason I make these videos is because there's a lot of people out there who are at their wits' end. Like, this stuff that I'm talking about, this isn't for someone who, like, just got back pain, like, you know, a month ago and is like, oh yeah, it'll heal. Like, or it's not for the person who doesn't want to do any work, who wants a quick fix. Oh boy, it's not for you. Don't engage with this content. Don't engage with any of this, any of the stuff I'm talking about if you want a quick fix. This is going inside on a very deep level, doing deep opening, deep release, and finding a space inside of yourself that is the real you, that's calm and released and natural. This is the process of coming back to a natural place inside of yourself. If you look at nature, most of the time, very quiet, very calm, right? Yeah, we get storms, we get some crazy stuff. But like, if you pay attention, like any given day, nature's pretty chill. That's our true nature. Pretty chill, pretty relaxed. And us feeling constantly stressed or anxious or depressed or in pain constantly, that's not us. No, that's just stuff we picked up along the way that has to leave our body. We have to release it. There's many ways to release it. Right now, we're just talking about tension release. Whew, thank you for joining this video. I just wanted to share this story. Again, like, not a recommendation for anything. Just like, for the people on the internet who are looking for something real that could work and are willing to do whatever they need to do, here you go. But again, not a recommendation, but here you go. Yeah, I mean, if you have hip impingement, I know that you're probably going to have a lot of resistance to what I'm saying, or you might not, but you may. And yeah, I've been through it. Also, sorry, one thing I want to mention is there are levels to this work. There are levels to all of this. So I work with people who are really stuck. These people, they let their cup fill all the way and maybe even somehow figured out how to support more. Like, oh, well, maybe if I like build a little like tower, then I could support a little more here. That's what happens to these people who are in a lot of pain, who get very stuck. It's that everything got ignored for so long until the body just fought back and just everything wanted to come out. That's how I understand this. That's my guess, my humble guess. Now, I caught this early. I was like 20 years old when I was like, hey, this sucks. So, yeah, like I wasn't like I work with people who like can't lift their leg like at all. Like, yeah, I could lift my leg a little bit, right? And so like I say this because it doesn't matter. Like, okay, because I know people will look at me and be like, oh, but you didn't have it that bad. It's like, yeah, you're right. Like I wasn't at my wit's end. I caught it earlier. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, if I didn't change anything, what my trajectory was, not very good, right? I understand that on a deep level. Now, yeah, there's people out there who are in a much worse situation than what I was in. It doesn't mean that they need to like, that this won't work for them, is what I'm saying. It doesn't mean it won't work. Like, your cup is still full. You still gotta you gotta release all this stuff. At this point, like, until I'm proven different, there's not much way around it. And I'm open to be proven different as well. But yeah, it's just to say, like, I know that sometimes we get caught up and we're like, well, that won't work for me. Like you saw in my story, I did that. I did that. It won't work for me. And that's a part of ourselves is not willing to let go. Not willing to try things, not willing to surrender into it. That's a part of that is resistance. Right? So, this is my story. This is what I've been through. This is where I am now. Back pain's eased, hip impingements going away, healing the body on a deep level. And I'm incredibly grateful for my life and for the things that I've gotten to experience because I've had this pain and discomfort in my body, the things that I've gotten to learn. I'm so incredibly grateful. And it's a blessing to be here on this earth. It's a blessing to be me. It's a blessing to make these videos, to get to come outside and like to breathe, to be. And every day I'm thankful. So thank you for joining me in this video. Like the video, subscribe, do whatever you want. I don't care. I have a program. It's called Art of Relaxation. It's the foundations of what I teach to people who I work with. I just send them this program and I say, let's go through this together. So I put a lot into it, and it's like the basics of everything I've used on my journey in terms of the relaxation stuff, not the medicine stuff. I'm not going to send you any of that stuff. So yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Peace.